Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, the world hasn't ended yet. I mean, the day's not over, and certainly whatever could happen could still happen, not just today, but over the next several days. In fact, my personal opinion is tomorrow probably would have a greater chance of things happening than anything. One reason is because tomorrow is Shabbat, and that's when Jews would be celebrating and the Shabbat, and so that would be one reason why. But the other is something that I'm going to get into in just a second. But there has been a few things for any of you to say, see, nothing happened. Most of it's all outside of the United States. The most that I could find in the United States is mostly just some smaller protests on college campuses, but certainly in several countries, in Spain, the United Kingdom, France, Austria, a few others, there's large amounts of protests, and some of them got a little violent. But that's kind of to be expected, I guess, based on the amount of influx from the Middle East that they've had in the last few years. But the big thing is that the ground war hasn't even started yet, and it looks to be that that's getting ready to start soon, possibly tomorrow. It's hard to say, you know, they're 8 hours ahead of us, so tomorrow for them is actually tonight. But, you know, we'll just have to wait and see. They have, Israel has given the Palestinian people in Gaza 24 hours to get out of the northern part of Gaza. You're probably aware of that. There is a river that runs through Gaza about a third of the way south. I mean, I'm just, by looking at a map, that's what I'm going to call it. Not quite half. And they've said as long as you go past on the south side of that river, you should be safe. That they are focusing on their attack on the northern part of Gaza. A few hours ago, they gave a hospital a 2-hour warning to get everyone out of the hospital. The international community is saying, hey, that's not enough time. You got to have, I mean, we're talking like 1 million people in that part of of Gaza. You got to give them more time. So they have extended the time period by 8 hours, which should come sometime this afternoon, later this afternoon, this evening. I would say any time after that is kind of fair game for a ground war to start in Gaza. I don't know that they really need to wait until they've caught Hamas off guard, because that's not going to happen. I mean, they could probably set a specific date and it really wouldn't matter at this point, because Hamas knows it's coming. Everybody knows it's coming, so it just might as well get it over with. That's going to change things, because while Israel often, you know, hits targets in Palestine, various areas in Gaza and even on the West Bank, they haven't gone in troops on the ground in quite a while. And the last time they did, they didn't go very far in. It was just a few hundred yards into Gaza, and then they left. They said they're gonna get rid of the problem. And a lot of the, especially Muslim world, has said, don't do this, that you're opening up a can of worms, this is bad. So the big question is will this cause this war to expand beyond just Israel and Gaza? And that's the other reason why I think tomorrow might be a better chance of things happening, because it's very likely that tomorrow might be the day that Israel fully invades Gaza on the ground. I know that Israel has a much bigger, more powerful, more technologically advanced, more, you know, all this kind of stuff, military, but I don't think it's going to just be a cakewalk, because number one, a good portion of that area is in ruin. And any type of urban combat, no matter how good and superior you are, is very difficult, especially on someone else's soil, in their territory. You don't know what kind of little hidey holes, spider holes, tunnels, you know, booby traps and all that's been done. So it's going to be a while. And Israel's already said that they have planned a months-long ground invasion into Gaza. So this could get stretched out. both Iran and Jordan, the people of Iran and Jordan, have been very upset that their countries and the rest of the Muslim world is not coming to the aid of the Palestinians in Gaza. And they are having massive, massive rallies of what looks to be easily tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people. That's going to put a lot of pressure on those governments. I mean, even if those governments rule with an iron fist, having that many people protesting against the government is very risky of them attempting to overthrow the government or to throw that own nation in shambles. So there's a lot of pressure on Iran, Jordan, Lebanon, other places to get more directly involved. There's already been a lot of stuff back and forth between Hezbollah and Israel, and Hezbollah says they're ready to move into Israel. They're ready. They're faunching at the bit. Syria also, there's a lot of Syrian fighters up there, and various other radical Muslim militias and stuff that are all ready to go in. So this war could expand, and of course the United States has our equipment there, and I'm sure most of these countries are going to try to avoid hitting our equipment, but a hypersonic missile that Iran has could be a pretty easy weapon to use against a big aircraft carrier. As big as they are kind of a sitting duck, and I don't know that we could really defend against a hypersonic missile sitting out in the big water. And if something like that were to get hit, it's done and over with. I mean, if they sunk an aircraft carrier, and I know that's a really big if. I get it. It's a really big if. But if they sunk an aircraft carrier, I could easily see a nuke being used. I mean, to that extreme. So everything is just on a very fine knife's edge right now. And I don't think that you can just discard it. There's so many people out there, just the naysayers, that all this is nothing. This is just going to blow over. Don't worry about it. See, nothing's happened so far. Stuff has happened so far. Thousands of people have already been killed on both sides. The economy is not doing good, and this is going to make it worse. We have already pledged billions of dollars, and there most likely will be tens to hundreds of billions of dollars of your money being dumped into this war. And then there's just the moralness of this, that there's going to be a lot of innocent lives on both sides lost because of this, because this is urban combat, and it's hard to control. I mean, look at what happened in, was it Mariupol or whatever, the city up in Ukraine that lasted for months, almost a year, between the Ukrainians and the Russians and the Wagner group. It took them almost a year to take control of that city. That's a big deal, and there was a lot of, if you see pictures of that city, it's just almost completely demolished. So a lot of stuff could happen. It's going to be a huge humanitarian crisis, really on both sides, especially if things start to happen in Israel with Iran, Syria, Lebanon, all those places, Jordan, any of them. So there's a lot to unpackage here, and I don't think we're anywhere near in the clear. I mean, just because it's the afternoon on Friday the 13th, I don't think that it's over and done. I mean, there has been violence globally. I mentioned this morning there was some violence in Paris, a stabbing from a Palestinian and a Palestinian supporter. There was an Israeli embassy worker stabbed in Beijing, China. I have seen vague reports of potentially a murder in Chicago done by a Palestinian or Hamas supporter specifically for that. I don't know. I can't verify that. There's so many murders in Chicago, it's hard to tell if it was just another random one, if it was done because of what's going on. But I think that the possibility of things increasing, and honestly, for here in the United States, if anything was going to happen, it's probably going to start happening this evening. People, these kind of people, they like to work in the dark anyway. So if stuff is going to start happening and violence and rioting and stuff, it's probably going to be this evening. It's a lot, folks. It's a lot happening, and I believe that a new chapter is now, we're in it. We're in a new chapter. I talked about this on Locals today. If you're part of Locals, you should go watch that video, because I also gave some intel that came to me that I'm only going to give over there. There'll be a link down in the comments that if you want to go join up on Locals. But I said over there, I said, you know, we had the pandemic, we had the Russia-Ukraine deal. Each one of those was a new chapter moving us forward, further down the field. And then now I think this is another one. And so we're further down the field, and we're going to start seeing more and more. There's going to be propaganda. There's going to be psychological operations, all because of this, lying to you, manipulating you, and then actual damage, actual financial damage, actual, you know, real damage, loss of life, and then the big thing really is to taking away just you, who you are, you know, conquering you, the new world order conquering you. I've already seen, I believe it was the European Union, I may have this wrong, but I believe one of those bodies, the European Union, has called on Google to start censoring information, misinformation in the Israeli and Hamas war on YouTube. So we're going to see that happen this week. I know that they're doing something to my channel. I haven't quite put my finger on it, but because of this week, my views are up substantially. But if you look at the actual monetization rate, like how much money, you know, it's down substantially. So the views are up, the monetization's down. As a little side note that really has nothing to do with this, but it just shows how evilness is out there and just stick you in the back for money. I made a video last week. Some of you, many of you watched it. And in that video, I showed a CNN news clip of Hillary Clinton saying that the MAGA extremists need to be, you know, re-education camped and all that, calling them cults and stuff. Remember that? I was wondering if I was going to get a copyright knock on that. See, on YouTube, you can show stuff like that, news clips, but only just a few seconds before you're in danger of getting a copyright knock. Well, I did today. It's not a huge deal, but I looked at it and it looked a little strange of who was claiming that I violated their copyright. And I went and looked it up. You will never believe, because it has the company and then it has the video, and so it took me a while to dig around. I think it's pronounced Kimberly Gutfield. It's Donald Trump's wife's fiance, girlfriend, that one. Remember the one that was married or dating or whatever, the governor in California. That woman, her company and her channel filed a copyright violation on me because I shared a CNN news clip. Nothing from anything she had done. She wasn't in it. It had nothing to do with her. It was a CNN news clip. It's interesting. I just thought I would share that little bit of, you know, make you go home. Keep your head on a swivel, folks. There was a Hornady ammunition factory that exploded today. I think it killed at least one person. That could cause an ammunition shortage. I don't know how big of a market share that one factory has to do, but it doesn't mean that they can't use as an excuse to jack prices up. Oh, well, we have an ammunition shortage. War, factory blows up. Probably should stock up on some ammunition. And then just keep your head on a swivel, watch your six, keep things topped off, and continue to prepare. Most of all, get on your knees in prayer, study the Word, because that full armor of God is the only real thing that's going to get you through all of this. Folks, you need to keep your houses in order, and you need to be preparing mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.